Many random nights when fans are gifted shoes from their favorite NBA players. Whether it's kids, employees from the league, celebrities. If a player is in a given mood and you sit close enough, you might be lucky enough to leave the game with a pair of shoes from your favorite player, and probably in a dope colorway. Also, you find a lot of players that auction off their most exclusive shoes to charitable causes. Since NBA players are fortunate to make a lot of money on and off the court, many have no issue contributing to a greater cause. Some of these shoes can end up being sold for up to 6 figures, but not every shoe is made equal. Let's look at 6 of the most expensive shoes to be worn during NBA games. But before I get into the list, how about you do me a favor and you like and subscribe to the channel? Number 1, Jordan's Converses. In 1984, Michael Jordan was not quite Michael Jordan yet. People were definitely talking about him, but he wasn't on the radar of big companies as a moneymaker or somebody that you just had to get an endorsement for. So at the time, Jordan was not wearing Nike. He actually preferred to wear Adidas, but even in college he wore Converse because Dean Smith, the coach of the University of North Carolina, had a deal to outfit his players with that apparel. But once Jordan had the freedom to sign a shoe contract, he had all intentions on signing with the well-known Adidas brand. In the meantime though, when Jordan played in the 1984 Olympic Games, he would wear a pair of fast breaks, a Converse flagship shoe at the time. For people back then, it wasn't a big deal. It was just another great college player wearing Converse. But fast forward over 30 years later and a whole shoe empire later, and you're probably never gonna see the GOAT wearing Converse ever. The rare pair of Converses would eventually be auctioned in June of 2017 for a whopping $190,373. I barely want to pay $200 for shoes, so paying $200,000 is pretty much out of the question, but hey, rich! Number 2, the Air Jordan 12 Flu Game. I know you're probably like, another Jordan shoe? Yeah, I had to, but this isn't just gonna be a Jordan shoe countdown. I wanted to make sure that I covered a shoe from before he became Air Jordan and one for once he became him. The Flu Game is probably the most famous Jordan game ever, even for people that weren't old enough to witness it, for a couple of reasons. The circumstances surrounding the game has always been up in the air. For most people just see it as he dropped 38 points when he was really sick from the flu, and they leave it at that. But there are some people, namely his trainer, Tim Grover, that will tell you it was food poisoning from bad pizza the night before. But there are also rumors that Michael Jordan was just really drunk and hungover. I don't know how true this is, but dude definitely looked sick either way it goes. To drop 38 in whatever condition that you want to call that, it's pretty goated, so how could you hate? The Flu Game 12s are one of the most sought after J's every time they re-release, so you had to know that when they decided to auction the real shoes that he actually scored the 38 in, there would be somebody that would pay big chicken on the Flu. That big chicken equals to the amount of $104,765. Thank you, America. Number 3, Nike Hyper Dunks. Kobe is a lot of people's favorite player behind Michael Jordan, so it doesn't really surprise me that people were willing to pay a lot of money for his shoes. In this case, it was the 2008 edition of the Hyper Dunks made by Nike. At the time, Nike was transitioning to using new materials and crafting methods to make their shoes. The primary technology they were pushing at the time was flywire construction and lunar line cushioning. They both took a dramatic amount of bulk away from the shoes. I remember these dropping in particular because players used to say playing in Hyper Dunks was almost like playing in socks. That's how light they felt. Kobe Bryant was more than willing to promote the shoe and would infamously record a video of him jumping over an Aston Martin. I thought that this was real, but apparently they did some type of CGI work, but either way, the commercial did its job and got everybody talking about the Hyper Dunks. In combination with his performance that year in the Beijing Olympics, that pushed the value way up for the Hyper Dunks. The same year, the shoes will be auctioned off for $37,740.70. Yes, we need the 70 cents. Stop trying to short me, fam. Number 4, the moon landing Curry 6s. Steph Curry got himself into a bit of a controversy in the 2018-2019 season when he said on a podcast that he didn't believe that the moon landing really happened. If you're not a boomer or thereabout, you may not understand why this is a problem. Well, the moon landing was a huge moment in America in the late 60s. Because of the tensions at the time, America was competing with Russia at pretty much everything. This included the race to space. So for America to get there quote-unquote first, it was a way that American people looked to show their dominance and advancement to the world. Many people are proud of this accomplishment. These same people do not want to hear some basketball players say that the moon landing that they thought was so amazing was staged and that it's not real. That's an outrageous claim to make. It's outrageous to think that a TV signal could travel all the way through space and be broadcast for millions of people in the 60s to see without internet. And you ask why? We never went back to the moon? Nobody cares. We went once, we don't gotta go back. Basically, as Steph Curry is known to do, he took the controversy and addressed it head on, and actually used it to promote his brand a bit. Under Armour would make a moon landing colorway and auction the shoes off to benefit STEM learning programs in the Bay Area, where the Warriors play. After wearing them in a Rockets game last January, the shoes will auction off for a total of $58,100. Number 5, LeBron 16, Player Edition. So yeah, like I mentioned before, if you have the right amount of luck, you can walk away with a pair of your favorite player's shoes after a game. But not every person is just gonna keep the shoes and cherish the moment. This is America. We gotta sell stuff. Buy and sell stuff. So when Bryant Miller, an employee for the Memphis Grizzlies, received a pair of Player Edition LeBron 16s from LeBron directly, you can bet that she got plenty of offers from collectors. Only for Bryant, these shoes didn't have a price. The reason why she even received the shoes from LeBron is because he noticed that every time they would play against the Grizzlies, it would be one woman that had super exclusive colorways of his shoes every time without fail. LeBron said, quote, after the game, "Every year I've come here, she's always worn an exclusive pair of my shoes. I've always noticed it and never said anything to her. And tonight I said something to her for the first time and she was like, yeah, I've always been seeing LeBron, always." So she got a pair of LeBrons. These LeBrons were gifted to her during the December game in 2018. Sidebar, LeBron is a good dude, man. He seems like he truly values his supporters and tries his best to show them love whenever he can. ABC Memphis reported a few days later that Bryant said she was offered over $100,000 from a single buyer to get the shoes, and she declined. I kind of question the legitimacy of the claim, since there isn't a name attached to it and it's more so just a feel-good news story. But I could certainly picture a sneaker collector paying that much for a pair of LeBron shoes. LeBron is also known to auction other shoes he's worn during games for his I Promise school, which I found kind of weird because when you buy these shoes, you don't take them home. The school keeps them and they display your name with the shoes inside the school. That's kind of a crappy deal. If I pay $35,000, the asking price for most of these shoes, I want to wear them things. I low-key ought to be able to dunk like LeBron. I should be able to go on the court during a Detroit Pistons game, find Blake Griffin and throw him a... Number 6, Zion's Kyrie 5s. So I cheated a little bit, I know. Zion Williamson has not played in a regular season NBA game, but he's one of the most highly anticipated talents in the league, so I had to include him on here. Golden Auctions was able to get a pair of his size 15 Kyrie 5s that he wore during a game against San Diego State last year and auctioned them in August 2019. I'm assuming that they had to wait that long because he was in the NCAA and they didn't want to have any issues with being accused of funneling money to Zion. These shoes would start at a minimum bid of $7,500, but the ending bid would register at $19,680. The crazy thing is, this isn't even the most sought after shoe that Zion has worn. The incident that Williamson is probably known for so far is blowing out a pair of his PG2s during a game against UNC. Ken Golden, the founder of the group that auctioned the first pair of shoes, said that if they were able to get a hold of those PG2s, they would easily sell over 6 figures. He was quoted saying, "It's definitely a 6-figure iconic piece. It would not surprise me if it topped $250,000. $250,000. My God. There's a good reason why these shoes haven't turned up though. Being that these shoes come from Nike, it was never really a good look that the shoes blew up in the first place. It makes it appear as if they make shoes that can't support athletes. So when all of this stuff happened, the shoes supposedly disappeared when Nike took them to see how the malfunction had happened and what they could do to improve them. I'm gonna be real with you, them things ain't ever gonna pop up. It almost served as like a reminder to what happened. So I'm sure that Nike would probably want for people to forget that this ever happened. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen. 6 of the most expensive shoes to ever be worn in an NBA game. Sorta. It's not a whole lot that I can say in conclusion, except that if you are the owner of one of these pairs of shoes, you are a baller. And I can't take nothing away from you. I salute you. Make sure you like and subscribe, man. Listen, I got the bangers, dog. Why you keep on acting like I ain't got the... Come on, man. It's time. It's time to take over.